This guy, for a lot of people, is a can't miss prospect. Now he's 6'2", 236 pounds. He runs a 4.43, and what most people are, you look at it and you go, okay, from my experience, I go, okay, that reminds me that sounds like Thomas Davis. Well, Thomas Davis is pretty good. That reminds me of Nick Barnett. Well, Nick Barnett was pretty good. You start going, man, there's some guys that kind of fill out 6'2", 235. To me, that's small, but to the modern day National Football League, like that's not a small guy. 4.43 is athletic as all hell. This guy looks like a safety. He looks like a safety. They'll put him on the line of scrimmage. He plays close to the line of scrimmage. One thing you're going to see with this guy with Clemson, they use him trying to get him to the backfield blitz, work on offensive linemen, work on running backs. That a lot of the stuff, I don't know how much it's going to translate to the National Football League, right? He tips a lot of the stuff he's doing. I don't know if he's tipping it because they don't coach it, or they don't care because he's up there all the time anyways, or they're trying to they're trying to show and go sometimes. But there's some little things where, like, man, if you show me that you're dogging as a linebacker, especially in like an A gap B gap play, you have no chance of beating us, right? There's like very, very, very few humans that at that size, at 6'2", 236, I don't care what you run. If you're in the A gap or the B gap, like, you're going to have a really hard time getting past a guard or a center. So there's that part of the game that he's going to have to either mask better, or, otherwise I don't know how well it's going to translate. But the sheer athleticism, you could see why people are falling in love with him. Again, I always look at it as we're running so much nickel in the offense, in the defensive coordinator's room right now. And we're playing the field game that 2 years ago was probably more popular than it was last year. But if you're going to play that 4-2 nickel, you need to start finding linebackers that can stop the run with 6 in the box. Your guys have to be able to get off blocks on inside zone, outside zone, just the basic tenets of offensive football right now. Can your guys diagnose, stack and shed, and make plays for less than 4 yards? If they can do that, you got the right guys. If they can't do that, if they're not big enough, if they don't carry enough mass, if they get stuck on blocks, like, that is a real problem. Yes, you can cover. Coverage is super important. Yes, there's things you can do. You don't have to take them out when they put a slot receiver / tight, one of those athletic tight ends in, or you can keep them on if you stay in dime, or there's ways to make these guys super valuable, as opposed to having to like pay for another cornerback or slot guy. But the most important thing that you can do is your base jobbing. And if like the guys that are doing that really well, they're going to kind of want to build the defense around you. So, with that said, let's take a look at this guy. He is super athletic. His father is an Army Ranger. So I don't know anything about him, but once you say like, hey, this dude's dad's an Army Ranger, he did like 17 tours overseas. I'm like, okay, so you could just start thinking, like, if this dude's dad is an Army Ranger, he's probably doing a lot of things the right way, right? Now, I'm making a huge jump there, but I feel very confident that is more than likely true, just because with a guy with that background, you're not growing up in that household and not making sure you got your stuff together. Okay, he's number 22 here. And of course, they feel very comfortable putting him on a Y or an F tight end. Now, as far as coverage, this guy can run. He does get locked up here by a tight end, and he's just blocked all day long. Now you see, we're just going to show a couple plays with the fluid motion and the speed here. He's the backside of this play, and I mean, he can just this guy can just scoot. He's just comfortable running. Now this is what we're talking about. He just shows it all the time. And so if I'm an offensive lineman and this guy's triggering all the time, triggering, it's really just, it's not that hard for me to figure out that I need to make that play. Now this is a play action. They're going to send everybody away, and they're going to run the quick screen out to the side, right? So you see the closing speed. Did he diagnose this play fast enough? I'm not sure. There's obviously a lot of moving parts here, but you see the athleticism. You put him in the middle here again. He triggers early. Problem is, you trigger early with these big guys, and you're 236 pounds. This is kind of what I'm talking about. A lot of this stuff is not going to translate. You're going to get dumped. Gets dumped right here by the center. I think we go to the next play here. Left guard gets him. It's you can't play this game at the line of scrimmage at 236 pounds or 2 yards off the line of scrimmage or 3 yards off without being a master technician when it comes to shedding blocks. Right. And I'm bringing this up. And a lot of guys are like, dude, we don't even look at that when we're scouting. Well, it's like, you should, because you give up a lot of yards because you don't. And I'm just telling, again, coaches don't teach this stuff, man. They'll roll the ball at him. Oh, hey, we did a good job. They'll put the bag up and they'll go across with the Riddell bag, pop, 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 pop. But are you worried about their footwork? Are you worried about their hand play? Like, are we being precise? Are we doing this stuff every day so it's automatic? Are we learning how to stack, rip, and shed? Or we learn how to ricochet off with their backside hand? Like, this is all stuff that if you got it, the difference between the guy who's got it, like the 30% difference in production or 13% or 20% difference in production between the guy who can do that and the guy who's the exact same body, exact same diagnosis, processing speed, and the guy who can't, that's worth for the player. That's probably worth, I don't know, 3-4 million a year. For the team, probably worth a win and a half. I mean, this stuff matters, man. So if I see it on tape that you don't know it, I'm not saying that it's not saying you're not going to be a good pro. I'm saying that you're 236. You're playing up to close to the line of scrimmage. Better figure it out. Like someone's going to have to show him. You see him here hitting the gap, and just I've shown a couple of these today because I'm just surprised, quite frankly, that these guys aren't blowing up these running backs. It's not like these running backs are cutting or going low, right? He ends up getting through there, but I just want to see some violence, up at the line of scrimmage here. This is why guys are going to fall in love with him, and rightfully so, man. Athletically, look at this. Dude's got a 4-yard head start on him. Just chase him down, no problem. Kid is a super athlete, plays hard. There's all three of these guys, I'll say this, and I think you have to do this if you play linebacker. These guys are not taking plays off. They may or may not diagnose it right. They may or may not use the right technique. Okay, but there is no doubt that every snap that I watched, this kid's playing. He's out there to play. He's not trying to hide from anybody. Down the middle again. This is the hard part. You take a guard down the middle, you're wasting the rep, unless your whole purpose in life is not to win and is to free somebody else up, which I don't know what you do with a talent like that. Clemson would have to be crazy to say, I got a 6'2", 235-pound linebacker who runs a 4.43. I think I'm going to run him into a 330-pound guard every time and just have him stalemate. So got to work a little bit. And I know this guy ended up, I think he ended up like 5 or 6 games in a row with at least half a sack. So it's not like he can't get to the quarterback without his athleticism. I'm just saying the stuff that maybe you have to look at in reference to what's an NFL game going to look like. Some of this stuff we need to work on a little bit from a technical standpoint. See him in the middle of the screen here. Another point here. You'd love to see this guy. You see the guard on the ground. The lane is there. Man, go. Don't worry about the right tackle. If you have your back hand extended right now earlier, he doesn't even exist in this kid's world. You know what I mean? It's just, you don't even have to think. Backhand extend, you shoot this gap, you make the play in the backfield, game show's over, right? You get pushed to the side. Now you're going to make a little more severe a cut. You can't track that near hip. You get your head across. He cuts back. Play still made. You still made the play, right? In quotes, because somebody else made the tackle. You could have made the play in the backfield. And that's just, again, a little bit of a football technical thing that we look at it, teachable moment. See him in the middle here. I just put this thing. You see how much respect these guys have. They're running the quarterback draw. They send the entire county over to him, man. They got the running back running at him. They got the 330-pound guard running at him. They're giving him a little bit of love, man. He's definitely somebody you have to plan for. Him and obviously Miles Murphy out there. You see him outside here coming off the edge again. This is the prototypical NFL, I'm just going to punch and read, right? But his hands are outside. And so when this guy wants to release and realizes actually the quarterback's got the ball and he's got to pass, right? He has no options as far as being able to release from this block. And so, again, it's just a technical thing, but it really, really matters when you start thinking about how the NFL is played right now. You cannot get stuck on blocks from offensive linemen. See him out on the edge here. And it's just kind of the same idea. When the tackle steps down, and again, this is all stuff that can be taught. When the tackle takes this, he's going to take the tackle's right foot. He's going to step in, and Miles Murphy's playing defensive tackle right here. So he's going to kind of hinge and then pop back out, hinge, and then pop back out here. If that quarterback is taking the ball out of shotgun at 5 yards, and that dude hinges, you have to get home, period. A tackle cannot hinge and pop back out and block you. It's just, it cannot happen, cannot get pushed by. So this is one of those deals where you have to be more severe with your angle. You have to be able to use your outside hand to pin this guy away from your body so you can release a little bit faster. You can create that separation. Okay. So this again, these are things where athleticism is going to get you, get people very interested in you. And now becoming the real pro is going to be all about how can I hone my technical, how can I up my processing speed, my football intelligence, so that I can play as fast as I am capable of playing, which is probably the highest, athletically, you just think of his ceiling, depending on what you're looking for, his ceiling's as high as there is on this tape. So he's walked up again. Again, I just want to see this guy get absolutely destroyed. You want to see him run right through that running back.